Happy Fragrant Friday, Fraghead. In this episode, I will be reviewing none other than Ralph's Club Parfum. And this is the question that begs to be asked is, will I be a Santa Claus or will I be a Grinch? Stay tuned and find out. Hey everybody, this is Ben here at That Cologne Guy, coming at you with a new review. You know, first and foremost, let me just say Merry Christmas. I hope you guys have a wonderful Christmas, and I hope you are safe and warm, and be careful out there if you are traveling. So Merry Christmas to you, happy holidays, and of course, in classic Midwestern style today, we are at a frigid 24 below right now at time of recording, and in 7 days, we will be a whopping 55 above. So that is there's a 71 degree difference in the next 7 days. So nothing quite says Midwestern weather like a 71 degree shift in temperature, Fahrenheit, of course. So Merry Christmas to you. If you don't know, if you live outside of the States, you don't really get my fashion statement today. Here in the States, we like to do an ugly sweater day for Christmas. So here is my ugly sweater. It is indeed Miller time. So I've got beer all over. And this is my ugly sweater that I wanted to wear for you today. It is colder than, I guess hell is the expression, but hell isn't very cold. It is really cold out there, and I am warm and toasty inside, and I'm really looking forward to spending time with you in this review. So again, Merry Christmas. I'm checking out, this is a 2022 release, so I made a recent purchase. I can't say what it is because Santa Claus was involved, but they threw in this guy right here. I'm going to be reviewing a few samples, and I really like the fact that, of course, the sample comes with an atomizer, so I really enjoyed that this week. This is, again, Ralph's Club Parfum, so be careful with that because this is the 2022 release. Last year, 2021, was the Ralph's Club, and I think that was either an EDT or an EDP. I'm not sure, but it's the original is my point. This one is the Parfum version, and that I am reviewing, just to be clear on that. So, without further ado, let's jump in. I have a few things I want to say about the notes. To start off the bat, I'm going to start with the Parfum as well here because you need to know who he is and what he's done. This is a work that in the initial blast, I mean, in fact, in the first 15 minutes, is an Invictus clone. So I even paused for a second there because I usually dance around such a statement. I'm not a fan of clones and dupes. I usually try to say that, I try to see the originality factor in a fragrance. This one is. This one smells, so I own Invictus. I wear it all the time. This one is identical to Invictus for the first few moments. So the initial blast is like, whoa, is this a mispackaging? And I was ready to just bash this thing as an Invictus dupe. But the good news is about the 20-minute mark, the sage comes up in other notes, and it really starts to take on slightly, at least, its own identity. That said, it smells very much like Invictus. It also smells like, and I don't have a lot of familiarity with it, but I have smelled it, but it smells like Y by YSL. It definitely has that vibe to it too, and I will be coming to that point in a minute. And then the third one is I wanted to mention to you that a lot of people mentioned in comments, I can't speak to this because I've never smelled it, but they said that it smells like hawas or hawas, and it's an Arabic word, so, but I'm not, it's Hawas, and they said that it smells like a more mature version of hawas or hawas. So again, I'm not sure. I can't speak to that, but I wanted to just point that your way. So let's get to the other two fragrances. First of all, it's definitely smelling like Invictus, especially in the beginning. And then after that, it also smells like Y. Now, why is that important? Okay, a dad joke. Why is that important to this? Because, my friends, the Parfum for this is the one and only Dominique Hopion. Looks like Ropion, Ropion. Dominique Hopion. And you might say, okay, well, big deal. First of all, he made the list as one of my favorite parfumers. I really love his work, and I love the fact that he bounces. He really bounces between these kind of crowd pleasers with these real artistic, inspired, unique fragrances. That's what I like about him. Now, the second reason why it's relevant is because guess who did why and co-produced Invictus? Correct. Santa Claus. No. Dominique Hopion. So the same guy who did this fragrance is the same guy who did Y, and then also did, or I guess, there were 4 parfumers who worked, and he's one of them on Invictus. So here's what, his personal stamp is all over this fragrance. And that can be good and bad. I obviously, it's kind of good in the sense that I really like his work. I'm always happy. I really like his work in the sense that whenever I know that Hopion is involved, I know that it cannot be bad. That is a cool statement. He's not my favorite parfumer, but I love that about him, that there's nothing that's ever been full on or even in the awful category. So this one is, so I was excited to see that. Here's why it could be bad, though. And here's what I think possibly is happening for the 67 people who are going to watch this. Here's my own theory. I feel like, and I've talked about this before, but it works for me, okay? You know how sometimes bands will get into with a record company and they will, let's say they sign up for 7 albums, and after the 6th one, they're ready to move on, or they're not popular, or whatever. The record company doesn't like the direction they're going in, or maybe the record company's too invasive and throws out a lot of good songs, whatever. So the band wants to get out of there, and so they just kind of put something out, like a live album or greatest hits, or like a studio of like B tracks, hidden tracks, just to get out of the contract. And yeah, I'm going to end up liking this, okay? So we'll get the boo birds out for a second, but I do like this one overall. I do think, though, that I feel like it almost seems like he was under contract with Ralph Lauren, and he went with kind of his signature home run, and they said, go get us a crowd pleaser before Christmas. This one just has written all over it, go put out something safe that's going to get compliments by the ladies. It's going to be a perfect gift for Christmas, on and on and on. Good sales. They're in the business of making money, so this is totally a crowd pleaser to generate cash flow before the holidays. No doubt about it. Now, the thing of it is, though, is, he's got Y and he's got Invictus in his back pocket. And so really it seems like he wanted to tinker with this formula that's been a success for him and then just, add a few extra notes to make it slightly different. That's kind of the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario is that, he wanted to just kind of get done with this and thought, all right, I'm going to put out something that smells like this, these other 2 that are smashing successes, and, that way I can just, get some money for the holidays. No, he doesn't need any. But he can fulfill his contract obligations with Ralph Lauren and probably move on. Maybe it was the 11th hour. Maybe he signed up for a whole bunch of other jobs, and Ralph Lauren told him, you must get this out before the holidays, and he finally just kind of went to his bread and butter, right? Something along those lines. But there's something there, though, that really just reeks of going with the taking the path that's not less traveled, actually, the well-traveled path, and therefore it's not really a huge risk. So that would be like the worst case scenario. Let's take a look at the best case scenario. The best case scenario is maybe he worked on Y and maybe he worked on Invictus, and he thought to himself, you know what? I feel like I've put together some really good ones, and in doing so, oftentimes when you work on a study, when you do something like this, after the study you sit back and reflect and you think, man, I really should have done this, or I wish I would have done this. And I feel like maybe this is on the best side, is he wanted to take the DNA that he worked on with Invictus and Y and actually extend it out to certain note combinations that he wasn't able to do earlier. So that'd be the best situation. Either way, this is going to, it's a woody amber, by the way, 2022 I mentioned. And I mean, I started to write down some notes, but I think really if you smelled, wine, you smelled Invictus, and apparently Hawas. This is going to be a lavender, a vetiver, and then I like it's got orange blossom in it, which I really like. And I feel like the sage comes in and separates it away from the Invictus type. And so if you're thinking Invictus is like the whole, the 20s bro in his clubbing years, and he's like, I just want to get compliments from the ladies, then he's going to be rocking Invictus. Now that he's 30 and up, he would probably move on to something like this perhaps, because again, you see, it's going to get compliments by the ladies. But here's what I want to say about that. You guys know, we talked about it before. You kind of have two. This is an interesting fragrance to review because it's going to be completely bashed by frag heads, right? It's going to be one of those. There are two camps, and I've always been really in the middle, and I don't even understand really why it's kind of like when people argue about Messi and Ronaldo, or Michael Jordan and LeBron, even though we all know Michael Jordan's the best. But it's these arguments, all right? And so when it comes to this kind of stuff, people always have kind of two camps on Fragrantica, which is like, what are the notes? Everything has to be original. It has to be, Belgian molasses. I mean, it's got to be these notes you've never heard before. There has to be a guy rowing off of Sardinia to grab the sea foam and put it in his pouch. I mean, it's got to be something like that, highly unique, highly original, and that's fine too. I really get into those actually. I really like those. But then you have the people who are like, I don't care at all about any of that stuff. I don't care if it's natural or synthetic. I just want to know, perhaps either what my partner likes, or how can I attract a partner, or lady killers, whatever words you want to use, expressions, compliments, fragrances that will draw people near you and garner a lot of compliments, right? The sexiness factor has to be amped up. And so there almost seems to be kind of two camps here. So the highly unique, original, natural, I wear fragrance for me only. It must be a certain poetry and, of the smelling senses, whatever. They're not going to like something like this. And I think people who sit back and just like to get, compliments from the general public are really going to laugh, because they'll laugh all the way to the bank. This will get you compliments. It will. It's a very, very nice smelling fragrance, and I like the fact that it is kind of a mature version of Invictus. I wear Invictus. I love Invictus. You should probably know that. I mean, in fact, the target audience for this, I'll just go out of order now and just say it's going to be for 30 and up, okay? That's fine. But it's going to be really for one or two people. It's going to be for, like, you know what this screams? This just screams, woman goes out and buys fragrance for her husband. Right? It's not quite a Father's Day, but it's definitely like, this just has like first anniversary written all over it, where like she went out and bought him a fragrance without asking him what he likes. I think you're going to see a lot of this, because she's going to like wearing his shirt the next day and wearing, smelling the fragrance on his collar. This is that kind of fragrance. It really is. So I see this as kind of an anniversary gift. I see a lot of women buying this for their man, and a guy who probably doesn't have either a collection at all or a big collection. And I don't say that, by the way, me as a snob, saying like he doesn't have a discerning nose. I'm just saying he's ready to give the reins over to her and say, go do your thing, buy me something that not only I like, but you love. Right. And that's why I say this is good for a partner, because I do think a lot of people are going to really like this one. Does it, do I see a lot of people creating, blogs and having this as their signature scent, and it's going to have a cult following in 20 years? No. Are they going to be in the streets chanting, Ralph's Club, Ralph's Club? Probably not. But that doesn't take away from the factor that it's a crowd pleaser, and it's designed to increase sales, and it's going to do exactly those two things. So they probably don't care. That said, like I said, I don't think a lot of frag heads won't have this as their signature scent. Really, it's for me it's kind of superfluous, honestly, because like I've got Invictus. But let me just say the second person, because I said two, the second person I would say would be perfect for this would be someone like me, actually, who, I don't know about you, but my Invictus bottle, the atomizer sucks. I mean, it's piss poor. I don't know. It could just be my bottle, but when I spray, like it, just kind of barely comes out. And I would say that is, it's underwhelming as an atomizer. Let's just say, though, for argument's sake, that is just my bottle. It's not just the whole line. It's just, I just got bad luck with that bottle. Still, though, the trophy is cheesy, and then the cheese ball, marketing where he walks in and the sheets fly off the women just because he's walked in. It's pretty dumb. He's an awesome rugby player, as I've said. The Invictus model is an awesome guy. So I'm very happy for him making millions because he's a great rugby player. That said, though, I mean, it's come on, it's for like 16 to like 22, 23 year olds. I've worn Invictus, and I can tell you that when you walk into a room, sheets don't fly off of women. So it's just marketing, unfortunately. And if you like Invictus, but you don't want the cheese ball marketing and the trophy and all that stuff, then this would be great to have in your collection because you'll smell like it, and you don't have to worry about the bottle. Probably not too many people really give a crap, to be honest, but I just wanted to point that out. So there you have it. That's the notes. This is definitely right up the alley of Christmas gift. I mean, it's just got all of that on there. And like I said, if I had to give you one scenario, I would see this as I could see this as like a wedding day fragrance, and I could see this as like a first anniversary. I just see this really as a gift from his partner to him. So it could be, wife, whatever you want to do there. But I see that as a lot of women out there are probably going to be buying this for their man. So, all right. So those are the notes. That's really my hypotheses on on why it was produced. Why, and maybe he'll say one day, and I'd be curious to find out, because it's definitely got his personal stamp. His work is just all over this. Dominique Robillard, of course. All right, so let's get to some bad news. This is a Parfum, and it really functions as an EDT. So this is, for longevity, you're looking at, I'm going to say 6 to 8, but it's closer to 6. I'm disappointed. I would have, and it's not, by the way, I really don't think this time that it is the sample, because sometimes people will say, but if you just rub it on your skin, that's different than the full bottle. This does have a very good atomizer, actually, and so I feel like that's not the case. But I'm going to say 6 to 8, but really closer to 6, unfortunately. Sillage, same thing. It's going to be coming in and out of rooms, walking past people. I'm going to say 2 to 3, maybe even 4 hours if you spray on your ugly sweater. And I would have liked more. And then projection, again, is going to be probably at an arm's length for the first 2 hours, and then it really starts to settle down. I'm not real happy with that, actually. And because I already have Invictus anyway, you're going to have to really sell me on something to get me away from it. And unfortunately, it doesn't cut the mustard when it comes to longevity, projection, and sillage. It's a bummer. I'm a little surprised by that. I'm not really sure what's going on there. I spray on skin. I know maybe I'd change my mind if I sprayed on clothes, but I really don't think you have to. And as I've said, after all the Menseras and Mentals and stuff that I've reviewed, I mean, these guys have to watch it, because there aren't that many like, spontaneous buyers where people just grab stuff for gifts. And I mean, of course you see it, but it seems like nowadays people will look into ratings and things a lot more. And so, if that matters to you, a lot of people could care less because it's all about the smell. It's going to be highly rated. I can see this. I bet if you went to a department store rate online and looked at the ratings for this, I would not be surprised if it's very, very high, because it does smell very attractive, gentlemanly, sexy. I really enjoy that about this fragrance. So, I mean, it's an interesting review for that reason. There's a lot of good and there's a lot of not so good here. Okay, so let's get to the season. Season, we can say with the sage. I would say this would be great for the spring. Actually, this would be a nice spring fall, and I would even dip into the winter. And I mean, with the lavender, you could pull this off in the summer as well. I just don't know if I personally would associate this with as a summer fragrance. I see this more as a woody amber. So I'm going to go with, the spring to fall, and then possibly into the winter. Speaking of winter, and speaking of today, you're probably wondering, what has my scent of the day will be this, because I will put these sprays on me, but my scent of the day recently has been Burberry London, of course, for the holidays. So let me know what your scent of the day is. And so that's the season. Now, I've already said age. This is going to be, and then let's go with gender too. On the age, it's going to be 30 and up. This is a slightly more mature version of Invictus, so we'd have to go 30 and up when it comes to age. And then I would say this is a classic gentleman's scent. So I would say, I'm going to say 85-15 on the split as far as people who have this, wanted this, own it, or were gifted this. I'm going to say 85-15. I think 85% will be guys, and then 15% will be ladies, of which, by the way, I think some of that 15% will be ones that keep it around just so they can smell it to remind them of their man. It is one of those fragrances, though, that, like I said, will be a serious compliment generator for you, no doubt. Just make sure you do go heavy on the trigger. Usually I say don't, but you'd want to go heavy on the trigger on this one and definitely spray on your clothes, not just skin. Okay, so let's see. Let's go with event. This is one of those fragrances, like I said, that I think I can see this being their first and only in their collection along those lines. And so really, event is going to be highly versatile. If I had to say, I'd probably say it's slightly more appropriate for night. I don't know that I would associate this with office wear. You could do that, and I would, by the way. I would wear this during the day, but if I had my choice, I'd probably wear something like a Zaro Chrome or whatever to the office. Whatever fragrance you want to wear to the office, but then from the office on. So maybe you would keep this bottle in your office, and then when people stop in and say, "Hey, don't forget the Christmas parties tonight," and then you thought, "Oh no, I forgot about that," you can just spray away. And so when you go to the Christmas party, the work Christmas party, you will sit back and get a lot of compliments, my friends. Nothing wrong with that. Certainly not original. Certainly not unique. Is it sexy and masculine? It is, actually. It is, and I have to give it to them for that. Usually I talk about the names in the beginning, but for nomenclature, I'll just tell you now, there's a little bit of a Grinch moment coming up. I will say that the Ralph's Club is a bit pretentious and cheesy. I mean, come on. That's Ralph's Club. Even if you like this fragrance, do you want to tell like a woman, like, "Oh, what are you wearing today?" "I'm wearing Ralph's Club." It just doesn't really work for me. I don't think you're going to impress her by saying that. You might have to say, like, give it like a French name, like give it Le Club de Ralph or something, and just call it something different, just to get, out of Ralph's Club. Thumbs down on that one, cheeseball. And then I did look this up, by the way, because sometimes people will call him Ralph Lauren. So I actually looked it up before I started recording, and it is Ralph Lauren. He is an American. Ralph Lauren just sounds better, doesn't it? It's like, I think people are thinking like Sophia Loren, right? Sophia Loren, and so they think if it's Sophia Loren, it must be Ralph Lauren. I don't know, but it is Ralph Lauren. as disappointing as that may be to some. So that's the nomenclature, and a thumbs down on the name, and then the house pronunciation. So overall, what's my rating? I went back and forth this week, and unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to be a Grinch a little bit when it comes to the rating. I like Dominique Hopian. I like his work. I actually really like this smell. I mean, because I think some people could be baffled by frag heads and be like, what do you people have against a compliment, right? Some people work so hard to smell like, Indonesian wood with, Canadian maple syrup that they work so hard to be unique that they forget that their own partners don't even like those fragrances. So I certainly really, really like smelling this one, wearing it. Absolutely. 2 thumbs up there. I like the Parfum. I really feel, though, that this is one of those. I don't see this as an inspiration. And I, correct me if I'm wrong. If he says years later on what I said in the second scenario, which is if he says, look, I did Invictus, and I felt like I wanted to correct a few things, so this was my chance to do it. Stand corrected. But I do feel like this just kind of has an uninspired feel to it of like, hey, Dominique, we're getting near Christmas, so get us a cash cow, get us something out there that we know will be a crowd pleaser and garner a lot of compliments and be perfect for the holidays and the gift-giving experience. This just has that written all over it. So I was tempted to give a 4. But I'm sorry, but if you're doing a Parfum, I mean, if it's a Ralph Lauren, it's probably $100. I didn't check the price though, but I just mean, my point is like, if you're going to call this a Parfum and I'm clocking in around 6 hours, then I got to dock it again. So I'm going to go lack of originality, DACA spray, and then and the fact that it just doesn't really work for longevity, projection, and sillage the way I would like it. I'm going to dock another one. So I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5 sprays. No, I know it. You're pissed off. You're bitter. You're angry. You're upset. And here's the thing, though, that I would say about my system. Don't forget, 3 out of 5 is the 1 and 2s I don't like. 4 and 5s I definitely want at some point in my collection, and then 3s, some I do, some I don't. I will say this is a 3 out of 5. If I got this, or if I traded for it, or even if I found it cheap, I would absolutely have it in my collection. Again, no one would dislike getting a compliment. Do I feel the need to stay up tonight and the next 2 nights and wait for Santa Claus to come down the chimney and just hope that he has this particular bottle for me and me alone? Can't say that. I don't. I'd have to find it at like a 70% off TJ Maxx rack or something like that bin. So yes, I would have it. But I feel like if you've got Y or Invictus, and maybe even the Hawas, I don't know that this is going to happen. So it's an interesting choice. It was a fun review, actually, because there was a lot of good here and then a lot to mull over in the not so good category. Either way, I've enjoyed it. So I'm going to go 3 out of 5. I will go 1. Look, I'm going to go 1 on each side of the neck, and then if I'm wearing in fact, you know what? This is an ugly sweater day. So I'm gonna put all 3 right on the It's Miller Time chest just for Ugly Sweater Day. Here we go. 3 out of 5 for Ralph's Club. I just out of habit, I almost did that. All right, here you go. Boom. Yeah. Boom. Definitely see the ladies at. I can definitely see the ladies at your Christmas work party asking you what you're wearing. No doubt. People will ask you, and it certainly smells very, very nice in this room right now. I really like it. 3 out of 5 is the right rating, though, for this 2022 release. So there you have it. I hope you have a great Christmas. I'm really looking forward to seeing you next week. Happy holidays. Stay safe. And of course, my friends, always remember, fragrance marks the celebration. of today. Take care, everybody. Okay, so welcome to the bonus feature of the episode. I did double check, actually. I wanted to make sure I got the prices for you. And it is, well, I said $100, but I was thinking 3.4. It's actually worse than that. It's 100. I went to Macy's, and it's so I'm not talking discounters, obviously. Right now, it's $105 for the 1.7 50 mil. And the 3.4 ounce, 100 milliliter is $140. Whoops. And then the 5.1 ounce, which I think would be 150 milliliters. But anyway, it's the big bottle, 5.1 ounces is a whopping $168. So ouch. That is a bit. I mean, it's a little pretentious, actually, for $105 for a 50 milliliter 1.7 ounce. You're really paying for the brand there, and that's certainly unfortunate. So I would say definitely not worth that. It's definitely not worth that. But if you can find it on the discounters for a lot cheaper, then you'd want to shoot for something around the $50, $60 for the 3.4 ounce range. So there you have it, but I wanted to give you the prices before I sign off. Take care. See you next week.